What is up, CineNerds? We have an excellent episode today for you. I'm pretty fucking excited if you can't tell.
Yo, I'm JP.
I'm Ryan. But today, you can call me Jedi Master Rajay New.
Yeah, we don't like Jedi around here.
I guess not with this one. Because today we chose Revenge of the Sith.
Star Wars.
Our first official movie review of one of the Star Wars movies.
We've had a lot of people ask us to do this since we started, thinking that we would have already done it.
We did Acolyte, and did we do anything with Ahsoka?
No.
We didn't do anything with Ahsoka.
No, because I would have sat here and just praised it the whole time.
By the way, May the 4th be with you all. That just passed recently. But on that day, there were specials everywhere online. And I got Ahsoka's ship with the fucking Inquisitor that she fights in that, and Mando and the droid, David Tennant. So I was very excited to grab that for a nice. And they sent me the mini build of the Millennium Falcon as well. So I was super stoked to get that too.
Yeah, I didn't. I was too broke. I didn't spend any money on anything.
I'm broke too.
For
It was
sale.
a credit card all day.
Well, I did. I bought some new stuff. It was because Amazon gave me a credit card, and but that was
trouble.
That was stuff that I ordered. We'll segue into this. I ordered stuff for the podcast to do a little upgrade for the podcast, which you're not seeing yet because it's not in yet. So we're going to be filming a few episodes right now tonight.
Right now,
and obviously, well, no, not obviously, because this is coming out tomorrow. We're filming this, and it's coming out tomorrow. But next week, I have an episode coming out with Ryan from The Whole Damn Enchilada, because my Ryan ended up stuck at work late when we were going to film. So there's going to be a couple episodes coming up with that. Anyway, enough rambling. The upgrade is here in probably 5 or 6 episodes from here. We're going to have a multi-angle camera angle thing going on. So we're going to really upgrade the video.
We're going to bring all of this magic right here into high def.
Up close and personal.
We're going to accentuate the potato accordion physique that is here. Anyways. All right, let's dig into Revenge of the Sith. So let's start off with a first impressions on the rewatch in the theater. Go ahead.
So I watched this in the movie theater for the re-release, as well as Ryan.
If you didn't, you suck.
And I watched this and it's my first time actually doing this. I did the D-box seats, which, if you don't know what the D-box seats are, they are the motion and vibrating seats.
But is that only with that theater company that they call them that?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
Where'd you go?
Cinemark.
I did Phoenix Theaters, so.
Yeah. So that was a first time experience doing the D-box seats, and it was interesting. It was fun. It was neat. I would almost wonder if a more modern movie that's been filmed and maybe made for some of those seats, if it's any different, maybe. I don't know.
I saw Alien Romulus that way, and it was fucking phenomenal. So yes, I think it's amazing.
Okay, so I think I want to I want to do it at least one more time with a more modern movie, and see how I like it. It wasn't bad with Revenge of the Sith. It was just, I don't know. I wasn't blown away for the price, but it was a new experience. So I enjoyed that. Rewatch wise, we're going to dive into that, because this has been one of not my favorite Star Wars movie, but one of my favorite Star Wars movies since this one came out. And I left the theater this time with kind of a vastly different opinion of it. So,
better or worse? Okay, see, mine's better.
Mine's not.
But well, anyways.
That's kind of a wrap up. I left the theater a bit disappointed with what I watched.
So for me, I will say this: my experience was far better because I was privileged enough to have all three of my sons with me for this viewing experience. I had Brandon, Justice, and Noah all come to the theater with me, and to look over at them, like I expected Noah to be asleep in the seat because usually when we take him to the theater, he's like, "Is this almost over, Dad? Is this almost over?" He was glued to the screen the entire time. Upon leaving it, Justice, who had seen this when he was much younger, because I tried to brainwash him younger, he shared with me that this is his favorite movie of all time. And that was huge to me. It made it even more special for me. So this rewatch had a lot more emotional ties for me with my children, and that was huge. So I definitely felt a little bit better about it. I also will say this. I am a huge fan, I don't care what any hater says, of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And the scene in episode 6 of that is still one of the best moments in Star Wars to me. I love the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and this movie is the precursor to that, and it made all those feels come back, so much so that I went right home and watched episode 6 again, just because I wanted to see that. He goes, what do you say? What does Anakin say? He says, you didn't fail, Anakin. I killed him or something.
Or he said, you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
Yeah. And so essentially when that's happening with the battle damage element, it's just beautiful. So I was very pleasantly pleased. And to JP's point, Phoenix Theaters, I don't know if any of you listening have that in your area, but if you do, I highly recommend going to them. They do Dolby Atmos surround sound, and they have rumble seats, and the price is still not going to break your bank. So I still paid $11 a ticket, which is hugely cheap compared to all these other theaters doing $20 plus for these things. So highly recommend it.
Yeah, mine was for the D box at Cinemark. It was $20 a ticket. So
yes, it's and even more like AMC. If when you get into that kind of stuff, it goes up higher. I mean, I think I've paid upwards of $30 at one point between AMC or Regal. So, let's jump in. Let's do this. We're already 7.5 minutes into this episode, and we really haven't even touched the surface. So, lots to talk about here.
So, I really want to see the 4-hour director's cut of this.
There is.
I found this on the web.
Apparently Siri
wants to see that. Yeah,
she does as well. So apparently in the video game Revenge of the Sith, they used a lot of the cut footage and put it into that video game, from my understanding. So now I want to go play that video game.
You know, I played that video game, and I don't remember much about it. I played it when it originally came out. Sorry, I had to adjust my mic. It was starting to fall. I moved everything, and everything's still a little.
There was an almost
up.
Lost your arm joke there somewhere. But anyways.
But yeah, I would love to see that 4-hour cut of this, to see some of the tidbits that were pulled out. And this is where a lot of my problems with this viewing comes from. So everything I read on the 4-hour unreleased director's cut that Lucas originally had of this film, the space battle and everything with General Grievous,
that was an hour scene alone.
Was an hour into the movie. Like, it was an hour into the movie before they even crashed General Grievous's ship. So my favorite parts of this film is the opening and the ending. I love everything with the opening, with the space battle and getting into Grievous's ship, the Count Dooku fight, the Grievous fight, and then you jump to the very end with what you were saying, the Obi-Wan Anakin fight. All that is fucking amazing. My problem with this watch has been everything in between. And a 4-hour cut, it almost feels like, if watching it this time, and I think my problem is I watched this film at the theater originally when it released, and I fucking loved it. And I loved it after I watched it when it came out on VHS and DVD. And I think in recent years, I've sat down, watched it, but watched the opening, and then once I get to the middle, I'm kind of doing some other stuff and not paying much attention until the end. And so I have forgotten most of the middle of this movie, and watching it in the theater where I could really focus on it and really tear it apart, this time. And that's what I was doing. I wanted to watch it to tear it apart. That's what we're doing this podcast for. There felt like scene after scene after scene just was there, and then it jumped away and went to something else. Like, you can tell that there was another cut of this film where there's full scenes and full things that are just gone. And everything with Padme is awful in this movie. Natalie Portman was just awful in this movie.
I'm saving my thoughts here.
And obviously, this is nothing new. This is bad dialogue that George Lucas is known for. George Lucas has always had bad dialogue in his writing. His better films were actually written and directed by other people, or people helped write, and other people directed and changed enough of the dialogue to make it work. George Lucas has never been good at dialogue, and I don't think anybody could argue that he is a great dialogue writer. He's not. He's a great storyteller. He's just not a very good at dialogue. So, like, the whole middle of this film is just, it gets pretty painful through a lot of it. So my thing is still, I would love to see that George Lucas cut to see what is missing, because watching it this time, it felt like every scene went to something else that we didn't see and jumped to something different, and it just I felt lost. I felt like I wasn't watching a completed movie.
I disagree that I felt like everything moved along nicely. I think that the way they did the editing made it a sufficient story, and I was happy with it. However, completely agree about Natalie Portman here. So I have two theories in this. One, and the first most obvious thing, I'm going to change how you said it, because I agree with it to an extent. George Lucas is not great at dialogue romantically, because the romance in this it's so painful between her and Anakin. It is awful. I mean, we're talking, there is moments where it's like, I love you more. No, I love you more. And they're always one sentence. Everyone, and it's like this awkward, like they let it pause and linger after the sentence is said. So they're like trying to capture the eyes or something. And then they wait, then they go to the next line, the next person, but it's line for line for line for line. There's no actual like momentum, but it's always when it's Anakin and Natalie that are specifically, Padme, that it's specifically like that. So I have a problem with any kind of romantic storytelling from George Lucas. I do agree completely the dialogue was painful. My other theory too with the Padme scenario or Natalie Portman is, I feel like it almost was like, because Anakin wasn't horrible, he was at least passable, but I feel like Natalie was like too cool for Star Wars or something, and she was just getting through it, and it felt like every line was almost sarcastic, like she was forced to be there.
The thing is, I think that's a trend with Natalie Portman. I think she did it in Star Wars. She obviously did it with Thor. I think any franchise she gets a hold of after the first movie, she doesn't want to be there.
No, and she's probably contractually obligated and all that stuff. In a weird twist of events, I did see an article of a way that she can make herself come back for Ahsoka and it be relevant. And I was like, wait, what? You care now?
I saw that was rumored that Padme may come back for Ahsoka.
I could see in memory flashbacks because of what they did with Anakin. Yeah. So
maybe memory flashbacks, but that's the only way. And it's like, why put us through Padme again? Let's just not do it. Let's give ourselves more Hayden Christensen, because even though his dialogue is pretty rough in a lot of spots through Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I generally love Hayden Christensen as Anakin.
I do too, completely. But I also, this is a big thing for me. Everyone always like, this person sucks. I don't blame them. I blame the directors.
Well, and that's what I was going to get at. Like, a lot of his dialogue was bad, and you can't blame Hayden. He's reading the lines that Lucas gave to him. Mm-hmm. But you look what Hayden did in Ahsoka. He knocked it out of the fucking park, because he had Dave Filoni directing him and writing his dialogue, and Dave Filoni understands dialogue. He has to understand dialogue because he wrote for animation for so long.
And I think you saw that reflect as well into Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I agree. I, for one, love that the actors who were in these prequel trilogies that got just absolutely destroyed by the fanboys and the fan base are being so well received now, and things are turning around to the point where, and I don't know if you know the numbers on this yet, but the so far at the box office, we're creeping up on 50 million for Revenge of the Sith re-release. 50 million for a re-release.
It put Revenge of the Sith over 900 million.
It's just shy, because the original was like 920 million, so we're at 970 total.
Yeah, we're shy of a billion.
Shy of a billion, and it's not going to quite get there from my understanding, but the fact that it hit 50 million just for a re-release, I think that's pretty fucking spectacular.
And the re-release was only for 1 week?
No, it was 2 weeks.
Was it 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks, because I think it went up April 24th, and it was staying through May 4th. So.
Well, still, you're figuring you average 25 million per week for a re-release. There's new movies coming out now that's not doing that.
20 million of which was opening weekend alone. So, yeah, it was pretty impressive. They were sold out theaters on the opening weekend, everything. So I got to give credit to that. That's amazing. I'm happy for the cast. I'm happy they're all getting the love. But yeah, man, I was thrilled with this. And if nothing else, yeah, there was some shitty dialogue, not going to lie. And like our episode of Half Baked, I may have seen this in a specific way. So it made those long, awkward pauses after the romantic dialogue all the more painful. It was so, I was like, why? Like that really did bother me. Now, I'll take that negative stuff aside, and goddamn, I love this movie. I love the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I love the reminiscing about how many times he saved Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, no, that doesn't count. That one time doesn't count. And they go back and forth, little stuff like that. I also love the digging back in, and mind you, I've seen this movie dozens of times, but the digging back in of Palpatine and how he's manipulating Anakin to the point where he needs to be, and re-exploring Mace Windu. My other two big complaints are dialogue, but more so sound effects, and that is Chancellor Palpatine. No, like that shit bothers me. It made my teeth hurt. And then the other one is and I think everyone can agree, the Frankenstein walk off the fucking board where he goes, no, and it like rings out. I don't mind him being born.
To me, the Frankenstein walk is awesome.
The walk.
The
sound.
The walk is awesome.
Because I like where everything crushes in and he's got that anger and he's embracing the Sith side. Yes, that all matters. But then the nerve, that sound effect from this film crept its way into Return of the Jedi when they're throwing him down the Emperor down the shit or whatever. What part was it? Oh, it was when Vader's looking back and forth between Luke and Palpatine, and he sees the lightning going back and forth, and he's like, no, and he picks him up and throws him. Bro, no.
Best thing about this movie outside of the final fight is Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor, hands down. Ewan McGregor embodied Alec Guinness.
He requested that they make a reel of all of Alec Guinness's talking lines in Star Wars, and it be a looped reel of all of it, so he could get all the voice inflections down and really master this. And I was fucking stoked about every time I hear him talk, even how he portrays Obi-Wan in the series. God, I love him.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor's just amazing.
Yeah, he knocked it. He knocked this just completely out of the park. And I mean, his hello there. I mean, it's just spot on.
He does that when he meets Luke too in the series.
Yeah,
like yeah, that's so good.
But yeah, the thing is, I've said for years this is my third favorite of the series, and unfortunately, I feel like after this watch, it's actually fell down some slots. It's not my least favorite. This watch did not turn it into my least favorite.
It's my third. I'm there with that too.
Yeah, it has been my third favorite, and solely because of, at this point, for me, like I said, the opening and the Anakin Obi-Wan fight at the end. And there's some little things in between that's really great. Obviously, Anakin killing younglings, and there's some stuff with the Emperor that I enjoy. I wish, again, I'd love to see a director's cut, because there's more stuff with Palpatine in there that I would love to see. That I would have loved to have seen more deception of really luring Anakin to the dark side, because to me it always felt quick. It always felt rushed. And I remember even watching it the first time in a movie theater, and when I really loved it, but my one complaint was, man, he turned to the dark side really fucking quick. And I even said it back then.
They did it the right way, though, because you got to think, like, what is going to drive someone over the edge more than anything? And it's his attachments. Why the Jedi say attachments, no, don't do that, because he's in love with Padme, and all he wants is for her to survive those dreams he's having. So and those dreams, by the way, were being given from Palpatine, and Palpatine was purposely leading him like this, because that's how he worked. He's strategic like that. And the way it was funny. So the first time I ever saw this movie, I definitely, and we already had Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace before that, but the whole Immaculate Conception of Anakin process and midichlorians and all that stuff. In this film, when Palpatine's saying he could even create life, when he does that little bit, I'm like, wait a minute, did you manipulate midichlorians in the Force to do this? Did you do that? And
which has been proven in novelization and comic book.
But it's cool the way you see it all kind of unfold again. And the big screen there's something magical about the theater experience. I don't ever want to see it go away, because you can put whatever TV you want in your house, you can do whatever. But when you go to a theater and you're surrounded by others of like mind, then in this movie experience, everyone stood up and applauded. And I thought that was amazing, because when you go to a theater and everyone has enjoyed it so much, everyone's clapping in the theater, that says something. So,
what's your theory on Padme's death? Do you think she really died of a broken heart? I know what I think, but I don't know if it's ever been put in novelization or anything. But
so I have two theories. Either it was intentionally, strategically done by Sidious with the intent to put Darth Vader into full mindset of that without any attachments, so he had nothing to hold him back from that power, or Luke and Leia drained the life force out of her when they came out. They took everything that they had in there. That's why they're force sensitive.
I've actually never thought about the Luke and Leia, but I've always, in my mind, because I hate the idea of her dying of a broken heart. I absolutely hate that idea. Even though I
but
feel
you like big fish.
Yeah, but that's a different movie. It's a completely different movie. I hate the idea of her dying of a broken heart, even though that sounds completely in line with George Lucas's idea of a love story. I mean, obviously his dialogue between two lovers.
Spectacular writing, George.
But I've always, in my mind, I've always had the assumption that Palpatine was draining her life force to keep Vader alive.
Well, I mean, that works still with what I'm doing, but like with what I thought initially, because mine's the other side of that. It's not, I mean, I understand why you would think that, but he was still force powerful enough to make the whole room go fucking crazy. So I don't know. That could work too. But either way, to me, she had to go because Sidious's vision did not include her, because that would have just held Anakin back.
Well, yeah. No, she had to go.
I like that theory.
And I'm happy she went. So there's no more Natalie Portman in these films. But that was the theory that I always ran with was, Sidious wanted her dead. I think in a lot of ways he wanted Anakin to be the one that kill her, maybe in a fit of rage kill her, which is what he ended up telling him at the end of the movie. But I think in my mind is when he didn't kill her and she was still alive, and he was so injured that he was manipulating midichlorians and stuff and using her, draining her life force and using her life force to sustain Vader until he could get Vader back into back to tank and healed up, and all these machines keeping him alive. I don't know. I like the idea of her death is the reason he's alive.
It's so with that, to me, that's the same approach both ways. So I like it. I guess we'll never know. We just have to speculate.
Unless they put it in a novelization or in a TV series or film and actually answer it.
That's the big thing too. Like, and one of the things I'm curious to see, and this is getting away from Revenge of the Sith for a second, but they have officially announced Sam Witwer will be voicing the son again for
Ahsoka.
And so in that instance, that right away, I'm already like, all right, so if they do bring Abeloth back in, are they picking and choosing what they want from Legends? Is that what we're doing now? Because I'm cool with Abeloth.
I mean, I feel like Filoni has been picking and choosing ways to bring Legends back anyway. So
I just don't understand why they had. I mean, they really had great story in all of the Legends in the expanded universe, and I don't understand why they just.
I think that's why Dave Filoni's trying to sneak a lot of that stuff in, because, I mean, he was Lucas's apprentice for years for a reason.
Dude, when he got Bane back in it, I was like, fuck yeah, because Bane's my favorite Sith ever.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck yeah, that was great. All right, so this has made me super excited. It's reinvigorated my whole Star Wars approach. So immediately following this, I said I went home and I watched episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi just to follow up that emotional tearjerker, that whole bit from the battle. But if you guys really want to go in deep and you want to see how everything ties together, I was telling you guys this now, get your pen and paper out. You want to go watch Clone Wars episodes season 7, 1 through 9. Then you want to watch Revenge of the Sith, and then go back and watch season 7 episodes 10 through 12. And that'll help tie all of that together a little bit. And then if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you go into Bad Batch, you go into Solo, you go Kenobi after that, and then into Andor. And then after Andor, you're technically supposed to do Rebels. And then we go into Rogue One. But I'm going to pretty much watch Andor into Rogue One because I want to see how that all translates. And New Hope. Because it all ties together so nicely now. The way I'm appreciating that, if nothing else, that there's sequences happening with purpose. And so that's good.
I mean, my opinion. My highest recommend is always Rebels. Will always be Rebels. Clone Wars and Rebels. It's my favorite of all the Star Wars. Get over it if you don't like animation, because if you're skipping out on these because they're animated, you're missing out on great Star Wars lore.
So recently I had my 21-year-old son. He big fan of anime, which I'm happy about because I grew up in anime too. But I was not hip to Naruto and all that stuff. And he told me there was a cheat code for Naruto. Instead of watching however many 100 episodes there are, he gave me like the highlight, the cliff notes, if you will, so I knew what episodes to go in and watch. So that is online as an option if you don't want to deal, because there's 7 seasons of Clone Wars. So if you don't want to deal with is it 7 or 8?
I think it's 7, and then there's like 5 of Rebels.
Yeah. But if you don't want to deal with all the seasons of Clone Wars and you still want to get your traditional Star Wars fix to understand what's going on, just look in what episodes can I skip of Clone Wars, and there's a whole road that shows you what path to go and what episodes to watch and what you can skip, because there's a lot of
I would say there's a lot of filler.
there is
There's a lot
some of the filler is amazing though, like the droid, that whole droid episode where they meet Fives for the first time and they're in the Outer Rim and they're stranded, but it's just the droids and this little general frog dude, I forgot his name. It's really solid storytelling that was done well.
I love the one of my favorite episodes. One of my favorite episodes before the final season that showed the siege of Mandalore and the battle between Ahsoka and Darth Maul.
That was excellent.
That's like my favorite multiple episodes of Clone Wars. But my favorite episode besides that is there's I can't remember how many episodes it was. I think it was at least 2 episodes, but it was in I believe the 6th season. It was it was the final season before it got canceled initially. Before they came back and did that final season 10 years later. It was the episodes that focused on Yoda, where Yoda was tempted by the dark side, and then he ended up hearing Qui-Gon, and he went and learned how to become a Force ghost from Qui-Gon. And those episodes are some of the best Star Wars episodes ever, in my opinion.
Excuse me. But you go into from Clone Wars though, you go into Rebels, and Rebels brings you a whole different story of characters you didn't know. Characters, I mean, we meet new familiar faces along the way, but you get all these characters you didn't know, and you become bonded with them and their story, and that's what turned into Ahsoka, the TV show. Mm-hmm. So there's so many tie-ins of this animation. So even as an adult, people who think cartoons are childish or whatever, you're missing, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're missing quintessential story. And I will further that by talking about there's 3 animated series that are standalone seasons, essentially, from on Disney. They're Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, and Tales of the Underworld, which just dropped. I'm only an episode in Tales of the Underworld. Each one focuses on specific story arcs that splinter off from Clone Wars, and they're so well done. They're just so good. I'm only the first episode in the Tales of the Underworld, and this seems to be an entire series that's going to focus around Asajj Ventress. And Asajj Ventress, I don't know how old some of you are that are listening, but the original Clone Wars that we got were 5-minute episodes on Cartoon Network that aired once a week.
Yeah.
And we would like...
And they were like Samurai Jack style.
Oh my God, they were so good. And then they put it all together and put it into 2 DVDs, which I still proudly have. And I loved watching it sequentially. And it showed all the crazy powers of the Jedi. It took us to those new imagination areas. But meeting Asajj in that series, and then getting to see her in Clone Wars, and then see her in Rebels, and see her progression, it is absolutely amazing, and I'm so here for it, and I love what they're doing with this series and these Tales stories.
Yeah, the Tales of the Jedi, and the other one was Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
I love both of those. I have not started the new one, so I'm going to be diving into it soon. But because I have been really excited to see the stuff with Ventress, and I think there's supposed to be episodes with Cad Bane too.
So supposedly a couple of episodes with Cad Bane. The big question I saw going online, again, I haven't watched that far yet, but he doesn't have his tubes in some of the scenes that you're seeing. So there's speculation as to we see how he gets these, or we find out how he got them removed, whatever the case. But I'm curious to see that.
I'm sure it'll show it, because I mean, the Tales of the Empire dived into a lot of stuff with the young Count Dooku and stuff like that. So.
And that was really cool to see. That was awesome. You know, and Christopher Lee, I don't think he gets enough credit for his contribution as Count Dooku, if I'm being honest. I mean, obviously he's a legend and icon in the acting industry and world, but my God, did he do Dooku justice.
Well, he was great as Dooku, and hell, he was probably, a 70-year-old man when he did it, you know. So, I mean, he was fantastic.
Like I can't get out of my head. Like there's certain looks in Star Wars from certain characters at certain moments that just stay with you. And one of them was when Palpatine goes, "Do it," and Anakin's got the lightsabers. And he's about to behead Dooku, and the look that comes Christopher Lee is like, "What the fuck?" And I love it. I don't know. He's just amazing. So,
going back to Revenge of the Sith, how do you How do you feel about Yoda?
What do you mean going back? That was Revenge of the Sith. As the beginning.
Yeah, I know, but we went on a tangent. What'd you think about the Yoda fight, the Yoda Palpatine fight? How do you feel about that?
I liked it. There's a lot, if you want to get very granular, there's a lot that you could dissect and tear apart for sure. But as a whole, good versus evil, Sith versus Jedi, I was here for it. I don't like the initial blast that Yoda gets where he gets knocked back. I didn't like the rebuttal then into Palpatine, but the way it went down into the Senate chamber and everything, it's just great.
It gets better once it gets to the Senate chamber, but yeah, everything in the office is just it's rough.
But
the flip that Palpatine does over his desk is laughable.
Well, that bridges. So just in that same vein, before he's misfigured and whatever, all that fun, and he fights the Jedi. That, I think, my biggest complaint in the entire movie is that sequence where 4 Jedi come into the chamber and Palpatine goes, "It's treason then," and he stands up and he like spirals at them, and all of a sudden 3 Jedi go down. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the fuck? No way, dude. No.
Yeah, and these are Master Jedi too, and it's like it literally just kind of does a close up of him swinging his lightsaber and then them falling, and it's like
Kit Fisto went down like a
bitch.
Yeah, that was rough. I was not a fan of that. I and the flip of that too, like a lot of the Order 66 kills, those were hard to watch because we're emotionally connected to these characters and these Jedi, but at the same time, like the Aayla Secura one, for example, on what planet are they on with that one? It was like for
I can't remember, and they dive into that hardcore in. Is it Rebels they dive in? Yeah, it's Rebels they dive into that planet pretty hard.
And Rebels and oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. Star Wars video game, Sam Witwer.
Oh yeah, they do, and that too.
Yeah, there's a whole
with Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm, Force Unleashed. There's a whole sequence on that planet, but like the way she just kind of like they shoot her and she just lays down. I'm like, what the you're a Jedi. Like, I get it. There's limitations. I get it. But they could have done more with that, I felt. So yeah, there's a lot of cheesy elements in those moments.
There's a lot in this one.
But you know what though?
It's fine.
I'm always going to be the guy with Star Wars because I've been so dedicated to my entire life at this point that I'm just happy to have more content.
I am too, and I'm happy to have more content. I'm just like you, but I'm being realistic with a lot of stuff. I'm watching it as someone reviewing this.
Yes, but I'm still going to give my feelings with it, back and forth, good and bad, take it or leave it. But, God damn it, did it just fly away that quick? It'll come back.
But yeah, I have to be the voice. I have to be the bad guy in this. I feel like one of us needs to be. Doesn't mean I dislike the film.
I don't know. I just I'm gonna continue to be happy to get it now. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I definitely know what I was gonna say. I'm just happy to get content unless it's too much. Andor. So my complaint stands with Andor. Like I love how everyone loves it and everyone's so diehard about it. Rogue One, New Hope, it's more the old school, old style. I get it. It doesn't need fucking 12 episodes a season. Okay? 8 at most with this fucking shit, because a lot of it's all filler and scenery and imagery, and I can get stills of that online because any AI generator can make that shit at this point. So I'm over that. I'm good with that. Now, however, if you haven't watched season 2 of Andor, I will give that one a little more credit than season 1 so far, just because of the character development and character growth. But I won't get into that because we're here for Revenge of the Sith.
Obviously, let's box office.
Well, we talked about it.
We talked a little bit,
yeah.
So it's almost at $1 billion.
Do you remember the original budget though?
I can't remember. I didn't look at it, but I want to say it was like 200 million or something like that.
No, it was 113 million.
Was it 113?
113 million, and then U.S. and Canada grossed 440 million, and then gross worldwide was the 905 million. and then it made the 50 million this re-release. So another 45 mil, and we're onto something. We're gonna hit that billion mark. That's what I'm here for. So go see it if it's still out by the time you see this.
I don't even know if it's still out. I know when I went and watched it. I watched it last Wednesday, and when I looked the following day, it was gone from the theater that I watched it in. So I'm assuming it's done.
I'm sure Disney didn't want any, because with those numbers and them releasing Thunderbolts at the same time, I'm sure that wasn't I'm sure somebody didn't look at that.
Yeah.
So.
And Thunderbolts came out that Friday, so it makes sense why it was pulled. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I were Disney and I was looking at that, I would have gone 2 weeks prior, and I would have released it before, and then the following weekend done Thunderbolts, so that you didn't have any kind of conflict. Have you heard anything about Thunderbolts?
I've heard nothing but pretty good things about it.
Ooh.
I've not heard a lot, but I've not heard anything negative really yet. So there is that. All right, I guess we'll dive into our ratings. I guess I go first.
Sure. I'm curious about this one because he was all like, "This time wasn't the same. It's no longer third place."
I'm really torn with this. I've actually been sitting here thinking about this for days. What do I rank this? What do I rate it? Because this was.
Let's rewind. Hold on. Currently, then, just before you judge this movie, just currently, even after seeing this, the rewatch, top 3 Star Wars films. Go.
Well, if I'm keeping this one where it was,
give us both.
I would have to say, obviously, Empire, number 1, Rogue One, 2, and Revenge of the Sith was 3.
This is why this dude's co-host with me and a brother, because those are my top 3 too.
Now I think maybe A New Hope will probably move into number 3, just because it's the original. It started it. Because I didn't leave the movie theater absolutely like, oh fuck this movie, it's awful. I still love it for every reason that I loved it. I love the Obi-Wan Anakin fight. I love the space battle. I love it. I love the whole opening. I love it when Anakin does go storm the Jedi Temple. I love that we get to see Chewbacca and Order 66. But the dialogue, Padme ruined. I will be real with you. Everybody that bitches about Jar Jar in Phantom Menace, to me, Padme's just as bad. Her acting is so bad in this film that she is just as awful in this film as Jar Jar is for Phantom Menace.
And again, I theorized based off that it was intentional because it was so bad.
Yeah.
She's an amazing actress when she needs to be.
Yeah. I'm going to, like I said, I have went back and forth because I think if I'd have rated this years ago off my initial watch, this film would have been like 4.6 or something in there. To this watch, this film is literally like a 3.6 for me. It's still great. I still love it, but Padme really ruined it for me this watch, and I really hate Natalie Portman for this. And me, I don't know if I was so in love with this movie that I blinded myself from her in this film, but really, really watching it for the podcast and for a review standpoint this time, she really ruined this film for me, and I really kind of hate Natalie Portman for it.
Our dreams are sacred area, right? Recently, I had a dream, and Natalie Portman was crawling into my bed. And I literally facepalmed this bitch because I was like, "You're not my wife." And I pushed her back in the dream. And I woke up, and I was really mad. But at the same time, I told my wife, I'm like, "Hey, I guess I really love you." But in retrospect, I think it's because of the foreshadowing of rewatching this movie, because I was probably that. I mean, like after I saw this, that I do agree with JP that this movie, I would say Natalie Portman's acting in this movie did not age well. It definitely was very obvious and very rough to say the least. And the one line exchange, the singular sentence exchange between her and Anakin for their dialogue and the "I love you more" bullshit and all that, it was just too much and too uncomfortably awkward. And and there's one line that's kind of like a little bit like, I don't know the age difference between the two of them. I never really dug into that, but like there's one line like, "Just hold me like you did on Naboo."
That was so bad.
It was
so bad.
uncomfortable. Like I was like, what? But all that aside, I have my Frankenstein complaint, and I have my Palpatine complaint. Acting,
they are the same age.
They are. No, but in the movies, they're a 10-year difference.
Yeah, but in real life, they are the same age.
And I get that, but for the movies' purposes of him growing,
they were
10-year difference.
They were like, yeah, something like that.
And so that, by movie standard, that would put him at like 18, 19, and her at 28, 29. And so just saying that. But yeah, no, that stuff aside though, all the elements of all the good stuff, all the darkness, all the brooding, if you will, Anakin's eye change, the look back with the hood, the lightsaber battles. This movie will never, ever not be in my top 3 of Star Wars for me. I hold it at 3 still. I wouldn't rate it as high as I did when I first saw it. Probably would have done a 4 or 5 or even higher. Right now, though, I won't go below a 4, though. I still think it's a solid movie. The only thing that kills it for me, though, is her acting with this. So 4 nerds from this guy.
And that's where I was. I was almost there with you with like, man, I don't want to go below a 4. And that's what I really stayed in torn for like the past week, going, I don't know where I want to rate it because I love this movie so much for so many years. I don't want to go below a 4, but then I had to be realistic with myself that Natalie Portman's portrayal of Padme upset me so much this time that I have to accept that it is what it is for me at this point.
It is what it is.
Film recommendations. You got any film or TV series?
Go ahead, go first. Because I got a couple.
I'm trying to think. What have I watched? Oh, you know what? I'm just going to dive into this because I got it on sale, and yesterday, the deal of the day was the Clint Eastwood collection, which was the Man with No Name trilogy and Hang 'Em High. It was a 4-movie collection. So today, I watched, as soon as I got off work, I sat down and vegged out eating lunch, and I watched Fistful of Dollars. And man, those old spaghetti westerns with Clint, they're so fucking good. So I'm going to be diving into that trilogy. So if you never watched Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, fucking dive into those because, man, Clint's awesome. And even go a step further with that, a few weeks ago, I picked up The Pale Rider and we did a rewatch of The Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood, and that's one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies and still is. Like, if you've never seen The Pale Rider, it's a 1980s Western with Clint Eastwood, and, man, it's fucking fantastic.
I have one that's, I'm going to tell everyone to run at full speed away from it. I did not care for it whatsoever. I even went into a group on Facebook about this because somebody was defending it, and I think it's the biggest avant-garde, try-hard bullshit I've ever seen in my life. I Saw the TV Glow. I don't know if I've talked about that one before, but don't watch it.
I started to watch that, and
it's awful.
Awful. Huh?
It is just awful. Now, it might be for some others. It was in no way, shape, or form for me. It doesn't ever escalate to what I think it's going to escalate.
There was a lot of people raving how good that movie was. Oh my god! Too.
Yeah. If you're one of those people who thinks you're like the cool kid who saw the movie before anyone else, and you're like, well, that guy, sure, you're going to rave about it. But it is avant-garde, try hard, is what I call that shit. That's the category I put it in. And for the positive, I actually got the chance to check out the Kurt Russell Western, Bone Hacksaw.
Bone Tomahawk?
Is it Bone Tomahawk?
Bone Tomahawk.
Okay, Bone Tomahawk. I'm
So
sorry.
you finally watched that off of my
Finally watched
recommendation.
it, and it was good. Well, you kind of put me over the edge with it when you talked about it, because I heard everyone saying it had good parts and it could be good. I don't think the sawing of the person in half was as good as Terrifier, but
No.
it had its moments. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's Bone Tomahawk is so good. It's a great horror western, and it's more of a western than it is a horror
For
film.
sure,
But
for sure.
um,
I love that it's a branch of Native Americans that they call cave dwellers still. So it's not Native Americans per se. They call them troglodytes. And my son and I jokingly call each other troglodytes every so often. So I saw him like, oh, he's got to watch this now. He's got to watch this. So it was good stuff.
all righty, No, that's not the web address. CineNerdsPodcast.com. The email is 3cinenerds@gmail.com. But
Yes.
you can go to CineNerdsPodcast.com, and you know what? That email is at the very bottom. So if you want to send the email,
It's all there.
it's all there. The shop has new shirt designs in there, some new stuff in there if you want to order something. All of our materials there. I've not put up too many written reviews lately. I put one up, I think, while I was on tour, but I've honestly just been so busy I've not did any written reviews lately. So, but everything's there. Go check it out. Share it to your socials. Share this video. Share the audio recording, whatever you're listening on. You can share that to your socials. Just share.
And I don't know if you all are familiar with this before we let you go here, but there's an app called Letterboxd, and JP put both of our links too on the page. I've been doing a lot of reviews on there, so I actually have been doing reviews on there. I just haven't transferred them over to the website. But if you're not familiar, Letterboxd is a great movie app for recommendations, building lists, things like that. So check it out.
And you can follow us and see what we're talking about or what we're watching. So, all righty. I'm done.
I'm done too.
All right.
Hey, Revenge of the Fifth. Enjoy it. May the 4th be with you.
Later.